So we covered the January update that's coming to Ready or Not, and Void Interactive over the last few days has been dropping just a shit ton of updates, including more stuff than I was even expecting. So I want to go through everything and give you guys insight into what is coming to the live branch of Ready or Not. Leave a like on the video, guys. It really does help. And if you guys haven't subscribed, I'm going to give you a couple seconds here. All right. So to preface this update, this is available to people who bought the supporter edition of Ready or Not. That is the $120. You're able to play these builds before they go out to the live branch. So basically, you are essentially paying to test some of this content. But in this update, we have two new maps, including Valley and Fast Food. And both of these maps right now on the private supporter alpha build are white boxes, so you can basically see the layout of the map. And then if you're playing on Fast Food, there's a little sign on the inside that says, you know, any feedback is welcome, and to keep the devs in the loop for anything you want changed or tweaked or whatever. I wish that they would put these signs at like the very beginning of the map, so as soon as you spawn in, you're sitting here like, well, is this the right map? Is this a test level? Like, what's going on? Put that right up front. And it doesn't even need to be an in-game thing. Just put a prompt up, be like, hey, this map is still early days, early alpha white box, so that people don't get confused. They've also added Vivox integration, so the voice chat is now similar quality to the games like Squad or Hell Let Loose. And I haven't actually tried it. I just kind of jumped in with, you know, single player with bots just to run around, test the weapons, and test the maps. So Vivox integration is always great. We'll see what happens when it hits live build, but there's really not a lot of people playing this build because it's a supporter alpha and not a lot of people know how to download the live branches. It's confusing. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. They've also added free look. Now, this is one of the features that I actually went and suggested in their Discord. They used to have it and then they took it out for some reason. It's back in now. I like the vertical free look. Looking up and down feels right, but when you're looking left and right, it feels a little limited. You can only go just a little bit past the gun. And I understand we're not owls, but I feel like I can look further to the right and the left, especially with my eyes, to make that a little bit more useful. It looks good. It looks cinematic, but if I'm looking left and right through a door, it's kind of useless. Another complaint that I had is you're not actually able sometimes to tell if your character is crouching because the paper doll in the corner was always just a standing SWAT member. Now it has the crouch ability, which looks really cool. The big thing here is they've added new weapons. So according to their patch notes, this is where it gets a little confusing for me. They've added the VKS, the G19 G5, the SCAR L, the BCM MK1, and the SLR 47. But going through all of the inventory, I can't find the VKS and I can't find the G19. However, I was able to play around with the SCAR L. It's a 5.56 assault rifle. The SLR 47 is another assault rifle. And then you have the MK1, which is restricted to only supporter edition supporters. So if you bought the most expensive edition, you have access to the MK1 carbine. I want to go through and show off some of the reload animations, the firing, the audio for all of these weapons. So I'm going to cut over there so you guys can see what these weapons are like in game. Now, they've changed the talk voiceover to make it feel a little bit more natural and less like action hero-y, and it sounds great. They've removed voice lines. They've changed certain voiceover cringe lines that we talked about earlier in other videos. They've updated some civilian female voice lines. They've just done a lot of tweaks. So like when you're looking at the sound effects, they've tweaked footsteps for, you know, civilians and suspects, third-person weapons, slightly sidechain bullet impacts now, lower volume for certain sidearms. Like, they've done so much tweaking to just make this game feel like a more polished and complete product. They've added new game modes to certain maps. We've covered that in the last video. So in Hotel, you get the new modes: active shooter, hostage rescue, in lobby, and first floor. If you're playing on the 213 meth house, you get a new mode, which is raid, and they've actually allowed you to open up the second house. They've added destructible lighting on that map. They've added bomb threat to the dealer map, gas station map. They've added adjustments for certain gas ambiances, huge overall of ambience volumes to prevent leaking. So just a lot of tweaks there. And then on port, you also have bomb threat. But the big highlight here is the fact that you get to run around on 2 new white box maps and see what they have planned for the future. And Valley of the Dolls and Fast Food are very interesting maps. Valley is going to be a nightmare once it's done, because there are a lot of twists and turns going into the underground kind of area. It's almost like a bunker. And then right above that, there is a birthday party happening. You can see kind of the white box balloons and the happy birthday Evelina. So I'm guessing this is going to be a pretty dark environment to play, and I don't mean nighttime, I mean kind of sick and fucked up. But those are some of the bigger changes that are going to be coming to the live branch, hopefully by the end of the month. If you're an alpha supporter at the more expensive edition, you can opt in to play this right now by right-clicking your game in Steam, going to properties, setting up the alpha branch in the betas tab. And a lot of people I'm starting to see are a little bit pissed off because they bought an early access game at $40 for, you know, your standard, I guess at this point it's your pleb edition, and they're not able to play the updates as they come for an early access title. And I'm seeing some of the conversations, you know, people are saying, I bought an early access game, why can't I play the updated builds and patches as they come out? They think that these updates should be available for everybody. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I kind of agree with them. I've spoken about this with other games like World War III and games like Ground Branch. They have a PTE version as well as a live branch version. But the thing about those games is if you own World War III, if you own Ground Branch, you can access both builds. Now, it's not really worth it to play multiplayer games on public test environments because not a lot of people are opting into it. The thing about this, though, is they're now segregating the community into you paid more, now you get to access the builds early. Some people are going to be fine with it if they paid more because obviously you get more bang for your buck, but this was never advertised as something that you're going to be able to do if you buy those more expensive versions. So I definitely get the sentiment. A lot of people are frustrated because they're basically being, you know, paywall locked out of content. That being said, I also understand the need to do testing before it hits a live build where somebody on Steam might buy in for $40 and then they're going to see maps like Valley and Fast Food and their white box levels and they're going to be like, what the fuck is this? So I understand the need. I just think the messaging needs to be a little bit better. If you buy into the supporter edition, you do get access to the patches before they go to live so that you can help test, give feedback on bugs. I get it, but I also understand the other side of the fence where people are frustrated because they feel like they're being paywalled out of content. I also feel that because the NDA has been lifted and everybody can talk about what's going on in the alpha branches, the fact that there's a public Discord as well as an NDA Discord, as well as patches being now posted to the Reddit with the patch notes that some people might not even have access to, it's a little strange and they need to start organizing this shit a little bit better because I'm seeing comments under the patch notes of people being like, how do I play? And then somebody has to come in and respond, well, did you buy the more expensive edition? No, I only got the $40 pleb edition. Well, then you can't. A lot of people are getting pissed off at the organization, and I totally fucking get it. Hell, I'm looking at the patch notes from a day ago posted on Reddit, and the date is set to December 17th, 2021 with a patch version that isn't even accurate to the build number we're playing on right now. And the thing is these are being posted by people who aren't on the moderator team, aren't on the dev team. There needs to be better communication and better messaging for who has access to these builds, or you just allow everybody to play the builds if they opt into the branches, and then you won't have to worry about it. You would just have to say, hey, PvE update, private test environment or community test environment, and then have the information on how to get into it. It just needs to be more streamlined. I think that's the biggest thing. A lot of this information is coming out in multiple Discords. Even me, somebody who has kept my ear to the ground with the game, is trying to figure out who the fuck has access to what. The fact that the patch notes is listing certain maps coming in, but not listing that they're white box. I'm sitting here really confused. Like, are these supposed to be done? Am I in the right fucking build? There's weapons in the patch notes that aren't in the build right now. It is a clusterfuck when it comes to communication, but the game itself is shaping up really good. They just need to nip these things in the bud and start getting whoever their community manager is now to just be on top of this shit, have direct communication with the moderators on Reddit, and start just streamlining the messaging for all of these updates. Because the thing about Void that I have to give them props for is they're busting their ass. This patch came out a day ago, and since then there has been 2 patches that have dropped that have fixed certain little tweaks, you know, multiple crashes. They fixed hotel having certain traps, and like they're doing so much work, and then they're pushing builds out, and it's like people can't even keep up with the updates. Streamline it, guys. The game is great. You guys are doing phenomenal work, but the messaging here is being lost. My name is Big Fry. Thank you guys for watching. Like the video. It helps drive it through the algorithm. I want to be the guy to cover all of the patch notes, cover all of the updates, because they're dropping every 2 days. This is the first like really big update since that early access launch, and I'm loving every minute of it. We just got to get your customer base on the same page, but that'll come in time. And I'll see you on the next one.